What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as behind those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers. Those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name's Ryan Williams, as always, joined by Shannon.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? Welcome to Monday's episode. So we're in the five teens now, somewhere in the teens. Um, so definitely continue to check us out. So Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion. Thursdays we're doing a lot of throwbacks. I don't have any interviews lined up just yet, but probably after the holidays we'll start doing some more of those. And then Friday, everything else, so movies, books, games, all that good stuff. I watched two terrible movies this week, so well, not terrible, but they weren't great. So definitely tune in for that as well. Without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. This first article is from thehill.com, written by Gordon C. Chang. It is titled Terrifying Hacks on Critical Infrastructure Have Arrived. America Isn't Ready. Well, we kind of knew this, right? Because we keep seeing it happen, right? Like we know we're not ready. There is effort being put forward to combat these things, but it's just one of those things where, yeah, we got to deal with it until, the bureaucracy and the money catches up to, the reality of the day. But what this is basically talking about, on November 25th, there was an Iran-linked hacker group with ties to the Iranian state itself, and they took control part of a municipal water authority of Aliquippa in western Pennsylvania near Pittsburgh. Right, they switched to the manual systems to deliver water to two towns, but they ended up getting through an Israeli-made logic controller, right? And they had used this before for successful attacks in Israel. So this is one of those things where, again, this isn't new to us, right? But the fact that it happens, you know what I mean, going through infrastructure, we've done it in the past, right? The Colonial Pipeline, we've had it with the water plants, right? A couple of the water plants, right? In Florida, like you mentioned earlier. So this is since this has happened, actually, since what I say, November 25th, they reportedly breached four other utilities and an aquarium in the U.S. So the aquarium thing is coming back again because remember the casino that
Oh
had
yeah.
the aquarium. Remember we did that one too, right? So like we're not. I don't want to say we're not learning, and it could just be they're getting smarter, right? But it's the same stuff over and over again, right? So this is not one of those things where they're like, we're gonna do this just to prove we could do it, right? And just to show we're good at something. There's no harm, no foul. Like this is a real thing, right? Like people rely on water, right? Even though you got people that don't drink it, they still need it, right? Most people bathe in it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to assume everybody bathes, but I hope they do. So they want their water not to be poisoned. But yeah, this is crazy, right? So we've dealt with this for years now, and for this author here, Gordon C. Chang, to come out and be like America is not ready, he's not wrong, right? Especially because of the complexities and how much we've evolved in technology, making things easier and working for us. Like this is the reality of what we have to deal with. Like we're doing more and more. To have like our utilities tied into cyber, into IT, and into things that make it easier to manage, but also easier to what am I trying to say here? Make an attack vector. You know what I mean? Like more vulnerable. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
if we open up our surface area.
There you go. There we go. So yeah, this is not like this is nothing new, right? The Chinese have been doing this for years. They've been suspected of doing things uh, all the way back to 2003. So the Northeast blackout we had in 2003, they suspect China did that, right? They had another blackout in Florida in 2008 that China's suspected of doing. So this isn't new. This isn't something new that just happened, within the last few years that they're like, oh, we're gonna attack infrastructure. No, like this is the way of the world now, right? So it's kind of crazy because President Biden addressed this issue when he met with ruler Xi Jinping last month. So in November, when he met with him, he actually brought this up, about, hey, stop messing with our infrastructure, right? Because it's a lot of money that goes into this, right? A lot of money that goes into the infrastructure and protecting. Um, protecting the infrastructure, but it needs to be more, obviously, right? Because we keep having it to where things keep happening, right? Like ever since November 25th, we had this article that references the one for the water plant in Aliquippa or whatever. But then, like I told you, four more since then, and an aquarium, right? That got breached. So um, we got to figure this out, right? So we've got hospitals that have been taken down for this 911 services or emergency services. Like we can't keep going down this road. So like, what's it going to take for us to put the money into this that we need to put into this and actually protect it appropriately. I mean, we got to do better. But again, I'm not holding the checkbook. I don't hold the purse strings for this. You know what I mean? But to me, it just seems like we have evidence every week, of us needing to invest more and more into this, and I want to see it happen. You know what I'm saying? But Ryan, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, when I read the article, like it's because we live in the States. That's why we care that it's titled this way. But the world is not ready. Like so, everyone is attacking everybody's infrastructure. Everybody's poking holes. Uh, it takes a lot of I guess exploration to figure out like what is wrong with all of the different points of our infrastructure. So I'm sure through us hacking other nations and other nations hacking us, we are learning a lot about how to protect it. What I found to be very interesting though was that the Israeli device that was hacked in order to get in there. This was discovered months ago that it was susceptible or vulnerable because it had been uh, I guess, identified and either a CVV or something like that had been issued saying like, hey, this part is a problem. Uh, and that goes that it points its finger towards supply chain, right? So now we've identified that this is a problem and that needs to be fixed. However, this water plant was either not in the know or was not brought to their attention like hey you may be vulnerable as well and there's a lot of devices when it comes to networks right so like perhaps this was not on somebody's roster or it was not inventoried and they didn't know this was a problem it need to be patched or removed um, so I don't know if we'll ever be fully protected unless you rip out everything, right? Like the Sparta plant just starts from scratch, right? Like they build a new network. They buy all new devices. They patch them appropriately. Um, I don't know if that's realistic, right? So when I went to there was a conference in where was I at? I went to not Georgia. I went to Alabama. Yeah, I went to Alabama. There was a conference. I can't remember if it was Lockheed or Jacobs, but they show that they have the ability um, to send you real-time notifications about your infrastructure, like your supply chain, right? Where it knows every device that's in your system and then it's able to then use through open source or through their analysts, they're able to tell you like there's going to be a problem with this device, or if you're trying to order parts, don't order these parts because they come from these countries that are known to have parts that are susceptible or that non-trustworthy, or it'll even tell you down to the mineral, like, hey, you may be having issues finding these devices because this mine's been shut down, or there's civil unrest or protests in this country. So I would think that something like that, if were being used, they would have identified it. It would have popped up on the dashboard saying like, "Hey, we have this Israeli device that has been hacked in these countries. You probably want to update or change it." I don't know if that's in prime time yet though. Like maybe within certain parts of the government, but not random water plants, right? So like how do we turn the corner on that is my question. Like will it be again we talk about like we don't want the government to always have to step in, but if there's companies, contractors that are working for the government who have these tools, like there may be a day of reckoning where like you have to either register with the government and then that way they'll have an inventory of all your devices, or you'll have to pay a fee or a service to these companies. It'll be mandatory at that point. Like I don't know what it'll take, but we know they just don't have the tools or the means, or they don't want to invest the money. So this is going to continuously happen. Like, right, we know about this device, but what about the next device a few months from now, next year, so on and so forth. Um, yeah, I don't know how we turn the corner on that. How do we get right?
And the thing is, like the thing that you're mentioning, right? Like that was something you saw recently, and it may not be ready for prime time, or it may not be out there at these different places, right? But it's one of those things where you don't even have to go, you didn't even have to do that much, it would seem like, right? Like if you're just doing a scan of your network periodically, right? Like
Yeah,
it every other week or something like that. If you're not going to do it weekly, right? A monthly even would probably be decent enough or be better than what they're doing right now. You probably would have found this. Like it would have come up and been like, hey, this is vulnerable, right? Like this is how you remedy this situation. Like there's tools out there that do that for you. So I don't know, man. Like this is just we're leaving these plants to their own devices here, and they're just like, I'm not gonna spend the money on that. Well, you provide a service that's
right.
that's
Critical
critical.
infrastructure, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know if you can be left to your own devices. Like, I don't want to nationalize everything though, right? So like, how do you make them comply, or how do you make sure that they are doing what is necessary to protect their customers, which are, U.S. citizens? Like, how do you get there? What I found to be interesting though is, like, among other things. So I watched a movie called Leave the World Behind. So that's one of the movies. It wasn't terrible. It would have been like, I don't think you would have liked it though, Shannon. Like, it's the backdrop is really cool. Like, not to spoil anything, but it deals with with cyber, and it's kind of like it's B-side story, kind of sort of like what is happening, like why are all these things going down, and it's kind of cool that it's using technology in kind of a horror type way. Um, but at the end of the day, like the way it ties in this one is. Uh, you don't know who's attacking you when they're attacking you. Like in it, Mahershala Ali's character, I forget what his name was. I think it was like GH, was saying like part of the way that you uh basically cause the collapse or the demise is by making them dumb first, right? Like you take away their ability to communicate. So that's what happened initially. Like there was a blackout, and then there was the loss of satellite communication and things of that nature. They just kept escalating from there. But like it ties into here really well. Like, because at the end of the day, you don't know what the enemy has the ability to do to you, and then you don't know what you will do to yourself once you don't have the ability to communicate any longer. Like, who is attacking us? And I don't want to spoil anything because I think the premise is really cool. I think the
Execution left something to be desired type thing. Like they didn't portray it
it
very
it
well.
wasn't no, it like even that part was good. It's the leaving you to figure out the ending yourself. It's one of those type of movies. Like we're not going to land the plane. We want you to kind of figure it out yourself. And you're like, nah, I just wish you'd give me an answer, right? I'm not trying to be lazy. Like I sometimes I do enjoy that. But it was the build up that got me. Again, I don't want to spoil anything. I think people should check it out on Netflix, especially because it does tie very well into cyber. Um, but it's the getting me, like you can see the finish line and it's just like, all right, we'll drop you off right here. That part I don't. I'm starting to get tired of that.
It's like the ending of The Sopranos, right? Like nobody wants to know that. Show me what happened. Did Tony buy?
Right, right. We're gonna go to black, but
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happened? Like, oh yeah, it's the ambiguity. It just makes a masterpiece. Like, nah, not if you keep like you've overdone this trope. Like, I want you to do the opposite now. I want you to give me an ending. But both of those movies that we talked about on Friday, both of them did not give me an answer at the end. So, but it does tie into really well this week. So please tune in throughout the week. Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion. They all have to do either with, critical infrastructure or things of that nature, especially like even the throwback will deal with that as well. And then these two movies. So, well, one of the movies, the second one, not so much, but aliens. But it is what it is. Hit us up on the website to go by our name. Give me up personally. I'm at RY Security Guy. It's RY Security Guy. You can find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, and Threads. Stay safe, stay secure.